Welcome to the Hell Has an Exit podcast with host Teddy Tarantino. This show is not affiliated with any specific 12-step program. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please find a 12-step meeting. If you're struggling with addiction, depression, anxiety, or your mental health, please call 833-999-1877 to speak to a specialist. Again, the number you can call for help is 833-999-1877 to speak to a specialist.
All right, hey guys, welcome to Hell Has an Exit. I'm your host, Teddy Tarantino. Today I have a very special guest. I think it's our first rapper ever, Kid Ink.
Hey, what's happening?
Yo, it's really dope seeing you because like I've been listening to you since I was like probably a kid. Like I used to listen to Sunset.
Hey.
And like even like when I went to your house for the first time, I was like, wow, I'm at Kid Ink's house. It was crazy.
Now that's what's up, man. Hell yeah. Now Sunset is day one. Day one fans know about those.
Yeah, of course.
Before the radio, before the CB records. He did.
So I wanted to ask you, like, you know, you being like in the industry and stuff like that, like obviously you've been through like a lot of ups and downs. I was trying to like do research on you. Like there's not a lot of interviews, like there's not much about you. Like you're a real low-key guy, you know? So I appreciate you coming out, but it's like you know, like the whole premise of the show is like we want to try to get like a deep interview, like what's really going on with people, and to try to give people hope out there, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think because I started off as a producer, I'm definitely very good at keeping it low key and introverted. So like even when stuff happens or like when there's stuff in the news, I've done a good job of just like chilling, being quiet, and not even getting too deep into things. I've had my little TMZ stories here and there. I'll be like, I don't even feed into it too much or nothing. But now I definitely do it too good of a job sometimes of being introverted. Where I gotta get myself out there and be like, yo, hey guys, what's up?
Do some social shit.
Right, or not letting people also control narratives and stuff too. That's something you learn over time. Like, dang, if you would have said something, then it wouldn't have went, or people wouldn't have thought this, or maybe this and that. So you know, I still surprise people to this day. Once we get in the conversation, they'd be like, "Oh, I didn't even know you was into that. Or I didn't even think that you would, you know, have known that, or you know what I'm saying, said this and that." So it's always, you know what I'm saying, dope to sit down and.
So like, where does your story start? Like, what was growing up like for you?
Growing up for me, you know, I'm Los Angeles born and raised. I grew up West LA to South Central areas. I say areas because like I was in a like move every 2-3 years type of situation. So I never like lived in a house. Like I didn't grow up in a household. Like I always had like lived in apartments and like moved around. Mom's was on Section 8.
You got siblings?
I have 4 siblings. I have 2 brothers and a sister from my mother, and then I have another sister from my father's side. My father, though, he went to jail when I was 5, and he went for a good. He had a 10-year bid. He did 8 selling drugs. You know, talking on the phone, got caught up a little bit, and then so I definitely was. You know, it was my mom taking care of us for the most part. You know, my brothers have a different father, and my sister has a different father, but. I wouldn't necessarily say they were like stepfathers to an extent, you know, so it was definitely still just kind of like me and my mom always thugging it out. And I was kind of like the man of the house at the end of the day. So, you know, I've always had to step up in that sense as far as in the fam. So it's always been something.
Was there like a lot of like feeling different growing up? Because like you didn't have a dad. I know that's like usually how people feel.
To an extent, I mean, it wasn't the most uncommon situation depending on, you know what I'm saying, like I had a lot of different friends that you know had the same type of situation, not necessarily with their fathers like being in jail, but just you know not being as connected or having, you know, brothers and sisters from other, you know what I'm saying, fathers and stuff like that, or families. So I ain't really think too much of it though. I kind of like was cool with, you know, stepping into that role and being a man of the house. And like, that's just how my mom always raised me, to be tough. She was a tough, you know, mother because she also had lost her mom when she was 2.
Wow.
So my mom lost her mom when she was 2 over her ex-boyfriend coming and shooting her.
Oh,
so
wow.
So my mom's like, I don't know how
like
depth
her
the
own
story
trauma.
is, but her whole, exactly. So
Wow.
like that made her a tough mom. So she just was raised by her dad, but her dad lives in my grandfather's always lived in Cleveland for the most part that I've always known. And, you know, shout out Papa. I'm sure he doesn't want me to give out too much crazy information. But my Papa was a hustler. So, you know, he was always, I like picked up from him, always just knew like you gotta be that guy and like take care of your family. And I think I got that from him. And then, you know, my mom she just knew how to be that mom, dad type situation for me too. So I was always raised to just be, you know, a tough kid. And
when did you start getting like feeling like your like artistic side?
Probably like I always been in the drawing. I always been in the art. When I was a kid, I always just tried to like draw or color in the lines. Like I always just had that perfection. Like I always wanted to perfect my art and make sure it looked good and stuff when we was in classrooms and all of that. But I think like around, I can't remember which, it was probably the first Puff Daddy album. I was super young. So probably around like 6, 7 years old is when I really got into music. And, you know, it was just certain, I think it was at a time where they had this thing where you could order a bunch of CDs from like at once from this like infomercial type thing that, and then my mom like let me pick out like 6 CDs.
Okay.
And I remember just like I picked DMX, As Dark as Hell is Hot, like the first Chronic, No Way Out. I think it was the first. Was it the first Biggie album? It might have been the second one. It might have been Life After Death. And probably like Doggy Style. And I just remember at that point, like that was...
Yeah, that's like what made you...
Yeah, those were like the first albums I owned.
Yeah.
And Makes Harlem World.
Okay.
And those were like the first albums that I owned and really like dived into and grew like a love for music. And then like started like picking out just, you know what I'm saying, this different styles I like, trying to write different things like that. And then... I think, you know, I always just had music in me. My mom was kind of like a singer writer, not like professionally, but that was just
she enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, she enjoyed doing that just on her leisure. She always had a book where she was writing lyrics.
So she was like encouraging you.
Yeah, she was. It was always encouragement there. You know, still always, you know, don't not have a backup plan. Like it wasn't, she wasn't pushing me to be this
go rap
celebrity, go rap or anything like that. But she always kept me, you know what I'm saying, active. And growing up in LA, you know, acting was always a thing, especially because a lot of the movies and
Did
stuff.
you want to act?
I thought I did. Like, I still don't, I'm not against acting now. I think at the time, because, you know, it was movies like Boys in the Hood or just Menace to Society, like those movies, and even when like Training Day and stuff came out, they still like to involve people really from the city.
For sure.
So it was normal to like be an actor for me growing up and still be from the hood. Like it didn't take away from anything. And then I think when I got older, I started getting a lot of tattoos, and I like my just vision changed a little bit. And I was doing like...
So wait, hang on. So growing up, like when you were like doing like the music and stuff, did you think that you were gonna do it professionally when you were younger, or it was just something you fucked with like a hobby?
So it was like when I was 15, it was more so kind of just like a hobby because my friends were doing it. So that's when I kind of started taking it serious, because I remember around like junior high school is when I start kind of messing up in school a little bit. I think like elementary school, I was like academically like about to be that guy. And then I went to junior high and got a little bit more into like friends and wanting to be cool and just doing different stuff like that. And you know what I'm saying? And I think the group of friends though that I was running with, I had found out that they were like doing music and stuff together. Like I had a homeboy who, like I had a classroom homeboy, and then I had a homeboy that I hung out with just like outside the classroom. And when I found out they were both friends and they were traveling and going to Watts to go to this music program and make music for free, I was like, oh, that's dope. Like, I'm gonna try to go with y'all. And then when I went with them, they taught me how to make beats. And then that was kind of the beginning of it all.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it was like...
Because like for me growing up, that's so foreign, because like I never had nobody that was like, oh, I'm going to this school. Like me, like our friends would have thought that was corny.
Yeah.
Like, my friends would have been like, oh, you know, music? Because like growing up, like when I grew up, it was like only play sports. Like that's the only cool thing you can do.
Right, like I was
you
into
know?
basketball crazy. I thought if anything, you know,
You're gonna play ball?
I was gonna play ball. I remember the doctor told me I was gonna probably push like 6'1", if that. I was like, maybe I could stretch a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But I ended up hitting like 5'11" and tapping out on that, and then and I was like, I'm not growing no more.
Yeah.
But I think you know, when they were going to go rap. So like at first I was going with them thinking like, all right, they're going to go rap. I don't know how to rap, but I'm gonna just go and just hang out. You know what I'm saying?
And that's how you learn how to make beats.
And then they, you know, a lot of them rap, but none of them was really like making beats. And I kind of saw that as my end. Like, all right, well, I'll just make the beats, but y'all got to teach me how to use this equipment. And it's funny. So the first person that helped me make beats was Nipsey Hussle. So it was like,
wow,
we were going to this place in Watts, and it was probably about like
how old were y'all?
6 of us. This was 8th grade. So
that's crazy. You've known Nipsey
14?
Since 8th grade?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we went up there, and then so that was 8th grade when I ended up meeting him, and then we ended up going to the same high school in 9th grade, and then I ended up getting kicked out for that.
Were you doing like street stuff at this time? Or you just like kind of like doing like juvenile, like delinquent stuff?
Juvenile delinquent stuff. I wasn't really ever, you know, in a gang or anything like that, but I hung around everybody that was there. I didn't have an issue with being around or being in the neighborhood. And like, you know, 80% of my friends growing up were all, you know what I'm saying, in a gang for the most part. But I think, you know, I was always just around and just was having fun. And like a lot of them were, you know, these were friends I grew up with. And, but I was still like, I was always kind of that person that they wanted to see succeed outside of it. It's
because you're like the homie that's doing the music.
Like they were like, oh, you got, you know what I'm saying, a lot of different opportunities. And, you know, and I think, you know, the biggest thing with me is like I didn't have the grandma's house in the hood. A lot of people had the grandma house in the hood that they would go to the hood and hang out at their grandma's house. And you know what I'm saying? So I was always, like I said, moving around. So I never had a specific hood. So like,
gotcha.
I always had that.
You could be that chameleon.
Yeah, so I could move around, and that worked in my benefit growing up. But it was one of those things where like, luckily I had the mindset like, you know, you're not gonna live in this hood for that long, so don't become from a hood and then move to the enemy's hood. And then now you have to deal with this every single day. And that, you know, sometimes happened where I moved somewhere where those people didn't like none of my friends and stuff like that. But I was able to move a certain way because I didn't have no specific ties nowhere like that. So
okay, so hang on. So Nipsey teaches you how to make beats. Like, what's your guys' relationship? You get kicked out of high school.
So he teaches me how to make beats. Once I leave high school, I ended up going to homeschool. So when I went to homeschool, I had more free time to just really hang out and make beats. So when I was going to homeschool, I would just wait for all of them to get out of school, and then I would just go to everybody's house and like, you know what I'm saying? So like at the time I lived, this was when I was more West LA area, and I would go all the way to Slauson and just, you know what I'm saying, take the bus over there. By the time I was 15, I had a bucket. So I had a little $800 car that, you know, we saved up for, and moms helped me get, and then I would just drive over there, you know what I'm saying, and just hang out the whole weekend. So weekends I was always off Slauson, just trying to work on the music and making the beats and just doing stuff like that. So
what was Nipsey like back then?
Everybody at the time was a little more trying to find like a conscious route of everything. So it was a lot more, and I don't know if it was just the era it was probably in hip hop, especially because I think New York rap was a little bit more at the forefront. So a lot of the Nas and like they were listening to a lot of Mos Def and Talib Kweli and Common and just different stuff like that, which was, you know, the guys who were trying to push we're from the street narrative, but we're not dummies. Like we got some knowledge out here. We read books. That's why you
like
know,
a Mos Def.
That's why when you hear stories about Nipsey, you hear he read books all the time. That's always been you know, somebody he was reading books, teaching you about stuff. The names that everybody used to have back in the day was like E equals MC. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So that would be like, you know what I'm saying? They were trying to figure out how to blend their names into these real conscious.
Like something deep. Yeah.
Yeah, everything was real deep. And then, you know, by the time we got like 16, 17 and, you know,
it was more like gangster rap.
It was a little bit more gangster rap, you know, when people got tired of getting robbed and, you know, you had to make different friends and like figure out how to, you know, live in the neighborhood the right way, you know. It's just different people in different routes. And, you know, I think it was, you know, it was interesting. It was an interesting time growing up because, like I said, I was always there, you know, but I wasn't never in the gang.
Yeah.
And then it reaches a point too where it's too late to get in the gang.
Yeah.
And then once I reached that point, it was like, nah, I'm never, because it's a little harder when you join the gang later.
Yeah.
They kind of like,
you were standing on the sidelines for all this time.
They kind of, like you got to watch all this and now you think you're just going to jump in the gang and it's kind of a little harder for you on that sense as far as earning respect and all of that. So, you know, I definitely understood that and seen and heard just so many different stories that just, you know, turned me off and made me know that wasn't really there.
When did like your whole style like become, because I feel like you're so different than like so many other rappers, because a lot of rappers kind of like all kind of like look the same. Like you've always been like a little different. Like even like gauges. Like I don't know any rapper that has, but I was like, bro, this man's got iced out gauges.
These are my small ones.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I think I always just
Did you skate?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay,
I had a skate. I had a skate wave. You know, shout out Skateboard P. That was definitely one of the big inspirations as far as not only just producing, but like I was trying to be the producer skater at one point.
I had like Lupe Fiasco, right?
Yeah. No, but you know, I actually started off doing BMXing first.
Oh, really?
It was more BMXing and, you know, riding the bikes. I always had a bike with pegs on it. It was always just trying different things and tricks and stuff like that. I didn't really see the goals or the opportunities for those outlets. Like it wasn't a lot of opportunities, I think, though, growing up to be like, that's a reality. Maybe that's something you could do. You could maybe even go to X Games one day. So
if you don't know nobody who's like made it in bikes, you're like, oh, whatever. Yeah.
Right. And then, you know, skateboarding obviously was a little bit more common in the neighborhood. And you know what I'm saying?
How good did you get? Like you could kickflip right now?
I can't land the kickflip.
Okay.
I can start the kickflip right now. I was really good at like my manual was super nice. I could that was where I started. I could manual, I could switch flip. You know what I'm saying? I did end up learning how to, you know what I'm saying, dive in the half pipe, like dropping in.
Wow.
I could drop in after because the first time I dropped in I fell crazy.
Yeah.
Bruised
because
my
I
whole
always
hip.
skated when I was a kid too. So,
But that's all it takes. You got to, once you learn, like you got to fall to learn.
Yeah.
I remember the first drop.
And then you learn how to fall.
Yeah, you learn how to fall the right way, and everything starts to make sense. So I definitely got to a point where, like, I was as nice as maybe like Lil Wayne his first year.
Bro, I was always saying, like, bro, watching him skate was like the most humbling thing, bro. You ain't watching a superstar skater like can't even ollie. You know?
Right. Yeah, no, it's right.
And he would be like, "Yo, post this," and it would be like a 1 inch.
And it would
jump.
be nothing to me. I would be judging too, like, oh man, I could do better than that.
But it was
at the same time,
it was cool because
definitely
it's like most people are like, I'll post something if I'm good. It's like it's got to be a certain level before I even.
For sure.
Share
I wouldn't
it,
even
you know?
tell nobody at the time until I was nice. I'd be like, let me practice this at the house all day in the backyard all day. But my little brother was really, really good too. So I think that was always just like a cool little inspiration because I could pick up from him. Like he was just naturally good at skateboarding.
So then like after high school or after like homeschooling, you have all this time making beats. When do you start being like, I'm going to do this for real?
Well, I kind of became that guy at school. I ended up doing homeschool, and at homeschool you were able to attend community college.
Okay.
So I ended up going to West LA Community College and taking voice class, piano class.
Damn.
So it was like
so it's
my
not
major,
like you had a backup plan. Like you were like, I'm doing music in some capacity.
Yeah, my major was music. My minor was art. So I would literally go. I had 6 classes. I would do music for most of the day, and then I had like a couple different. Like I had an Adobe art class, and then just the painting class, which I wasn't really good at painting. I ended up dropping out of that one.
Yeah.
But the music class and the voice classes are things that ended up like I still benefit off just taking those classes now today. more than anything, like it's really cool that I'm glad I did that. I'm not glad that I failed out of ninth grade to have to do that, because it did kind of suck to check out with all F's and like go back home and look at my mom like, I'm sorry, I'm not an idiot. I just I was too focused on other shit. So I think from there I went to what was that, like 11th grade. I ended up going back to school, and I went to Fairfax High School off of Melrose, because that's where a lot of my friends from junior high ended up going. And then when I went over there, we kind of started like a rap battle thing during like lunch. And I was in charge.
Were you rapping? Yeah, or were you still making beats?
I was just making beats.
Okay.
So I was like in charge of the instrumentals.
Okay.
At the time, you know, streaming had just started going. Well, not really streaming, but like, what was it?
MP3s?
MP3s and all that stuff was coming out. Morpheus, LimeWire, all that good stuff. So I was the guy who was at the house
with all the LimeWire
computers. Just downloading everything illegally and just bringing it back to the school and having beats. Like I'll be like, yo, what beats you want? All right, I'm gonna go to the crib and go get it.
Like 2003?
Yeah. So it was like 03. So 03, I was kind of like helping in charge of being in the rap battle scene at the school. And from there, I had a friend who I would make all the beats for. And then he started pressing up mixtapes, and then we kind of became like, that was the thing. We was like the guys who were selling the mixtapes on Melrose or at the school and like passing.
But it was mixtapes of you guys, or you?
I was making all the beats and he was rapping.
Wow. Okay, so you're making your own music at this point.
Yeah, but we were kind of like going kind of like as a group.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a almost trying to think about who's a group like that. Gangstar, I guess.
Yeah.
So just one producer, one rapper, and we were just going in. And at that time too, I was huge on sampling, so I would just sample a lot of stuff. I wasn't really like trying to replay too much. And then around maybe like 06 is when I kind of like really saw it being an opportunity, because I was still just like at the crib making beats, but I still had to like have jobs.
What were you doing for work?
I worked at, well, first I would just do like odd jobs and just whatever I could get done. And then my first like real job was at the Gap.
Wow.
And then I kind of like,
that's crazy.
It wasn't really the scene for too long.
Yeah.
And I ended up going from the
Were
Gap.
you like selling clothes or like folding clothes in the back?
They had me folding more. I was doing more folding. I wasn't really good at the sales of the Gap clothes. I didn't like wearing the Gap clothes all the time, like, because they wanted you to like buy the clothes.
Yeah, like wear it.
And then like push this narrative. And I just really wasn't into it like that. But then I ended up going over to, I ended up getting a job in Nordstrom's, because I had a friend who already had a job over there.
Nordstrom's was fire.
Nordstrom's was fire because I was able to like really get into fashion. So it was like they were at the time, True Religions had just came out, like, and I was on top of just other getting that discount. Fashion trends early, got the discounts. It was really not even discounts, it was the return policy. So,
it's crazy. I know. I tell people till today, like, bro, Nordstrom's return policy,
greatest return policy on earth. But I would like literally buy a shirt on Friday, like a Lacoste shirt on Friday, wear it, destroy it, bring it back, crazy, then take it back on Monday, like return it myself under zeros, and no employee number, until that became like a bad thing. And then I ended up getting fired from Nordstrom's for really like, I was getting a lot of tattoos at the time, and I was working at a tattoo shop on the side. So like after
doing tattoos. Okay.
So after I would leave Nordstrom's, I would go. There was a tattoo shop right around the corner from my crib, owned by this Rough Riders motorcycle guy. He was a part of the Rough Riders crew, and they used to let me come in there. It was this dude named Tattoo J, this Filipino dude. He would let me apprentice under him. And he was literally just teaching me the ropes. I would go in there and clean tools and just do tracing for them for free tattoos. So like I would do all the work during the day, sweep up, whatever the case was, and then they would just tattoo me like after hours and just do different stuff like that. My mom.
Were you like trying to get covered, or you're just like not thinking about that at one point?
Nah, I knew I was gonna go crazy. I knew I was gonna go crazy because I the way I got tattoos too was like I didn't just go straight arm. Like I did get my first tattoo on my arm, but it was from like my wrist all the way up to my elbow. The whole thing. I'm in class.
That was like the beginning?
Yeah, beginning. I'm in class with the biggest tattoo in the school. I probably, for sure, I don't know anyone who had a bigger tattoo than me from 11th to 12th grade. But by the time I was...
It's like kind of frowned upon to get like a arm tattoo before you get like something that's covered, right?
For sure. The teachers were looking at me crazy. Like, yeah, what are you doing, little kid? And I would leave my arm on the desk too, just like this the whole day.
You guys need anything?
Right. So it was like between that and then I started getting like tattoos on my stomach and just different places where I knew like, all right, I'm gonna get the tattoo here, so I gotta keep filling it up. So like it starts.
You know how like you can't join a gang later in life? I feel like I can't get tattoos later in life.
I still got friends that tell me that, because I have honestly friends still that have 0 tattoos, which is I be pushing it like, come on, man, and they're really strong on like they feel like it's too late.
Well, I feel like I wouldn't want to have a couple tattoos. I'd want to be covered. So then it's like I'm gonna start that process now. Like I have 4 small tattoos, but you probably never.
I noticed that the people who get the tattoos late cover up fast.
Yeah,
they go full sleeve.
Bro, you gotta
immediately.
Be,
they don't wait.
You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna start here. Yeah. When you're a jit, it's like, oh, I'll get this one. I'll get this.
Oh no,
one,
I've literally had almost every tattoo that I have done one by one, like the smallest to the biggest. I've never really got like, all right, I'm gonna get this whole sleeve part done, or I'm gonna get this whole.
Yeah, because it looks like your tattoos look dope.
Nah,
a lot of times
I just
when
used to
people
blend.
get one, they don't like go together.
Right, that was something I always stay focused on though, was just like making sure everything blends together real well, and like, you know what I'm saying, that I was figuring that out.
Did you do your own tattoos ever?
Yeah, I actually still have. I did this one on my knee. This Eye of Horus, probably like
the Egyptian eye.
Yeah, 2 months ago.
Oh
maybe,
wow!
I want to say.
Damn, you're tattooing your own knee. That's crazy.
And then like I did the first thing I was just shading and coloring just to get the feel of it all. And then this might have been like the first real like situation where I like got the everything proper, like didn't freestyle it. I got the like the paper and, you know what I'm saying, printed. I got the printer. But it was when the wireless ones came out is when I really got into it a little bit more. Because before, the hookup was like, you got to get the gun.
And
I've
been thinking about wireless tattoo guns for so long. I was like, man, I should have came up with that.
Yeah, I should have came up with that a long time ago, because the process of putting a tattoo gun used to be crazy. Burn the needle, put this through there, get the rubber bands, boom this, and you got to screw this on here, and then you got to get these 2 clips and this little box, and then the step pedal and all that. It was a lot going on. So once the wireless ones came out, I've been getting a little bit more active at home, just doing more stuff on myself and fixing stuff that I felt like needed something over the time. So
yeah, that's cool.
Still having fun with it.
So after high school, you start, selling like your own mixtapes, and then you said like you got serious and you were doing all like the LimeWire stuff like in 2003. What happens after 2003?
Well, it got serious when I want to say around. I don't want to give an exact date. That's wrong, but between like 2006, 7, Nipsey ended up grabbing a beat from me. Bullets Ain't Got No Names was the name of the beat. So, well, that was the name of the song.
Yeah.
But I remember I had went to the crib and he had asked me.
So how does copywriting work or whatever? How does it work? Because I always want to like, you make a song, right? And then you send it to someone and see if they like it and they buy it off you.
At that time, well, not when it's independent or just like the street guys. Like when this song, when he did that, a lot of it was just like mixtape stuff. So like I gave him the record and he put it on his mixtape. No. So like with this, it was like hand to hand. Like he came by the house. Well, he gave me an idea. Then he came by the house. I had to bounce all these onto a CD, give him the CD, and then he went and did what he did at the studio. And then the record he ended up doing got him a deal, and they wanted to re-release it as the first single. And like they ended up putting Game on the remix. And like, so at that point they had to do the business side and send me paperwork. But it got a little bigger at that point because they ended up like flying me out with him to New York. So I was with them and their team for a couple weeks until I just ran out of money, really. Because it was like, I was young. I didn't have no real job at the time, and they weren't really paying me. I think I went to New York with like $200 and stayed for like 2 weeks, stretched that $200 as far as I could taking taxis and trying to eat and feed myself. But it was interesting. So the guy that flew me out was Johnny Shipes. So I ended up going out there with Johnny Shipes, working with Cinematic Music Group real early. And then after that, I kind of got in a position where I just needed to go home and really figure out what my next step was going to be. I felt like I was just hanging around and it wasn't really anything progressing. So I went home, and when I went home, everything kind of started back over again. So now I went from being in a place where I thought I was about to like get this label deal and like Nipsey was popping and this stuff was going on.
Like, oh, it's about to be like
it's about to be crazy. I had got my first like production check. It was only $5,000, but that was huge. I was like, yo, I just got paid for a beat, $5,000. Like I'm about to be that guy. And then nothing happens.
The first time you get paid for something you do like artistically, it feels crazy.
Nah, it definitely felt different. It was definitely a big motivation at the same time, but then also like felt like a letdown when it was right back to normal, right back to the hood, right back to you need to figure out where you about to work, where the next dollar about to come from. Like,
oh, you get fired from Nordstrom for what?
I got fired from Nordstrom. So the whole thing is I got fired from Nordstrom's for
tattooing yourself
tattooing myself at work. I was drawing.
Oh wow!
I was drawing a tattoo on me, and I think I was like into the process. I was over the job pretty much. I was drawing a tattoo on myself in the mirror for most of the day. I'm sure they was watching me on the camera. Like, what the fuck is he doing? And then a customer had came up and asked me something, and I didn't give them the right response that they wanted to hear. Then they left a complaint, and then 2 weeks within that complaint, I got fired. So from there, it was like, okay,
you could have been the head of Nordstrom.
Nah, but that it was definitely one of those situations where I understood why I got fired, and I was already kind of over the job anyway, because it just it wasn't really the passion at that point. I had already tasted a little bit of the success, so it was like I didn't kind of want to go backwards from that.
So then after that $5,000 check, you go back. Then like, how does the story progress?
It was one of those things where I was back in a place where I was, finding odd jobs, whether it be, just working with different people who had just stuff to do, you know what I'm saying? Like really like odd jobs, like finding like homies, like you want to come clean this garage out, or you want to come do this, or work at this little child care center and play basketball with these kids, and like just little random things like that never really lasted long, but just, little get you some money for a couple weeks, get you by, stuff like that, still trying to go to school just to get the loans, dropping classes, but just going and get the grants and the loans and get the check and then go back home, right? All that money. So that was definitely the lifestyle for a minute. Again, still, I was with moms. We still had, luckily that Section 8 was still rocking. Okay. Food stamps was still rocking. So it was still a little bit easier to get by with that assistance, but it wasn't the goal. So, and like with that said too, like my mom didn't drop Section 8 until I signed my like official label deal in 2014. Like she just couldn't let that shit go. Yeah. I was like, all right, mom, it's time.
I know people that have been on
got big money
stamps,
now. We don't
bread.
Need
I'm
this.
like, bro, what are you doing? They're like, man, it's still $400.
It still was coming through for her. So, and I couldn't be mad if she was still filling up her fridge and wasn't asking me for nothing. So I was like, that's cool. Your rent's only $200? Sure, let's go crazy. But then at a certain point, you're like, all right, they're going to find out I'm your son. Yeah. And this is going to be done. And then I'm going to have to explain this. Yeah. So, but I think from 2006 or like 2008 to about 2010, I was kind of just figuring it out, staying active, staying inside studios that I, in people's faces, luckily.
When did you go from producing to being on the mic?
The first time I tried it, honestly, I was it was probably right after the Nipsey situation where I went into it more so still as a producer. It was me and the same guy from high school and his cousin. And we ended up meeting this dude named Alex, can't remember his last name, who wanted to sign us because he just saw the potential there. And at first I just wanted to be a producer, but he kind of wanted me to be an artist. Yeah. But when I say like be a producer, I still looked up to Timberland and like Pharrell and still even like Kanye at the time, to where they were still actively doing hooks, and they were still writing.
Yeah.
And they were still, you know, being a part of the record. So I was like, all right, I don't mind being a part of the record, doing the hook, you know what I'm saying, some ad-libs here and there, be Diddy in the background. Like, I don't mind doing that.
Yeah.
But people started to grow, like, especially the management started to, like, grow, like, a infatuation with just how I sounded. And, like, they really used to push this, like, you can sing and rap at the same time. Like, it was a really big thing for them at the time. Like, we don't really know too many people who were doing melodic rap like that. So it was really early, and we didn't have really any success from it too much. Like, you know, shot a couple of videos, did a couple shows, met some people. You know, I remember just meeting like Felly Phil earlier, trying to get on the radio. We did all that stuff, but it didn't really work out. And we ended up all separating and doing our own thing. And from there, I kind of grew more and more into growing the craft of writing and being, you know what I'm saying, solo and figuring it out. But I still didn't really care to be an artist. I just wanted to, like I said, be a part of the records and like help people out and just, you know, come up with ideas and melodies and stuff like that. So from there, I ended up linking up with like, fast forward, the next situation, I linked up with Young Berg, who's hitmaker now, but you know, Young Berg at the time, and his record had just started going crazy with Ray J, and I had got in a room with him from a Nipsey session. So Nipsey had called me to come to the studio one day because he was in the studio in Hollywood with this producer named Rob Holiday. And he told me, like, come through, you know, I got these producers here, but I need you here. Cause you know what I'm saying, you know the sound, you could, you know what I'm saying, help direct the situation. So when I went up there, I started, you know, as soon as I got in there, I was making beats. And this dude, Rob Holiday, was like, yo, like, you're nice. Like, yo, what's good? Like, you got to start just pulling up to the sessions all the time. So I just started coming to the studio all the time and just pulling up to the sessions and being involved. And he was business partners with Young Berg, and they had this label that they were creating, YB. And I kind of was just in there as a producer, just co-producing behind the scenes, doing a lot of behind the scenes, just adding stuff to the records, not really focused on writing. I think at that time I had really dropped the rapper stuff. And I was just still, for them, I was just a cool kid from LA with all the tattoos. Like, I was more so just a vibe.
Especially back then, there wasn't like a lot of people like covered in tats.
Right, I was a vibe in the studio. I had neck tats and that. I used to have the tattoo guys, so I was the one throwing the tattoo parties. I would have you know, my tattoo guy come to the studio or come to Berg's house, and we would just, you know what I'm saying, just get tatted all day. And I was somebody who never said no to getting tattoos. So like, whenever somebody was trying to get some, I'm like pushing it. Like, let's go. I get one right now too. So like, I remember we did that with Wiz early, because Wiz, when Wiz first got signed, he was working with Rob Holiday too. And you know what I'm saying, we were in the studio and he was just like, yo, you got mad tattoos. Where the tattoo artist? Called him up, pulled up, and he had got the Taylor gang on his stomach with the wings, the TG. It's like these wings. I remember he was like, I want it to look like the Top Gun logo. Boom, boom,
that was
boom.
crazy.
So like, I remember just, you know, being that guy at that point was just like the tattoo producer guy. Yeah. He got the tattoos and he got beats. Like, we got, so that was kind of the narrative that was going on for a minute. And then I got in some nice situations from there, co-producing on some stuff, some Diddy records, some Cassie records. You know, I had a Sean Kingston like little remake. We like just different things were like coming up from there, but it wasn't really any checks coming in. Yeah, it was kind of just like the
like clout, like little clout.
It was a little more clout, little homie working, being involved, being around. But then at the time too, though, you know, we started doing studio sessions in Young Berg.
But that's dope, because a lot of people are like, yo, why am I doing this? I'm not getting paid.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people are like, bro, you're new. Like, you should just try to get in there.
Right, and that's what I was about. I was just about chilling, getting in there, sitting in the studio, not making too much noise. Yeah. And then the first time Berg heard me rap, he was impressed a little bit, and he was like, yo, like, let's come to the studio. Just come to the studio whenever, and if you got a verse, hop on the song. And I think he used to leave this platform open for, like, if he put a beat on, whoever had a verse could go in the booth. He was, you know, always motivating people like that. And I was always trying to push it now. Like once that was the thing, now it was a challenge. It was like a competition. And I'm like, yo, every time I come to the studio, I gotta have a nice verse ready. So I was always trying to get on every single record. And you get taken off some of them, and then you stay on some of them. And then from there, I had my first taste of actually being an artist, actually shooting music videos, having, you know what I'm saying, get it together and have a performance and like really be out, show up to shows, you know, with them. And they kind of helped develop me in a sense, but just like, I don't even know if it was knowledgeable. It was just the homie that was just around, and like, I was just, you know, happy to be there. But that was kind of like almost an artist development phase for me. And then when it was really a point when, again, I have to figure out how to make some money. I don't have no gas money to pull up on you guys, because I'm still living in the hood. They live over here, we are now. So these were like me driving all the way from, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to think about where I lived at that time. I can't even remember what crib. Oh, I lived in Inglewood at that time. Okay. So me driving all the way from Inglewood to the Valley. And then after that, I was driving from like Leimert Park area all the way out here to the Valley off like $5, spending the night, sleeping on couches for the weekend. You know what I'm saying? And just not staying in a nice mansion, having a great time. But like, I was just there. I didn't have no bread. I was just, you know, just chilling and, you know what I'm saying, just happy to be there. But I think from there, you know, it got to a point where I didn't have $5 to get no gas no more. Like, I didn't have no real bread, or certain times where I got stuck and couldn't make it back home. So then I found myself being in a place where I just stopped going outside, and I locked in at the crib, and I ended up making all the beats for my first mixtape. But not to skip over, I first went back, and then my little brother, this is around the time like jerking music came out, and the dancing and like the street wave of that.
Like the Dougie stuff?
Dougie, Cali Swag, YG,
the Soulja Boy.
Rangers, Soulja Boy, all of that stuff was really getting active on the internet. YouTube had just started going crazy. So I was behind the scenes a lot on that, producing and, you know what I'm saying, writing and doing a lot of different things. Of course, we didn't have none of our paperwork right, so don't really see no residuals or nothing off of none of that stuff. But that was like at that time I was doing all of that, and then I sat, and one day I just decided, like, I'm about to just make a mixtape today. And I ended up making. When you started making beats
for yourself, did it feel different?
Yeah.
Did it feel like, oh, this is for me, so it's got to be like?
Yeah, I had never did that before, so it was kind of weird to make a beat, then listen to it and come up with a concept or figure out what I wanted to do from there, like what I was going to talk about, you know what I'm saying, for the most part, and grabbing feature, just like figuring it out was definitely a process. But it was dope to, you know what I'm saying, actually get done an 18 song project that I recorded all in the closet. It took probably about a month. Okay. But that was a month of every day.
Yeah,
like
that's
every day lock in. There was nothing else to do. It was you're gonna sit and do this all day. You're gonna make this beat. But I wasn't being too picky either. It was like whatever the first beat you make, that's what one you're gonna rap on. And whatever the first idea you have, that's what you're gonna put out. And
yeah, because a lot of people think too much and they don't put shit out.
Yeah, I do that more now than I probably did back then. Like that's like trying to get back to those spaces, because at those points you just making it to make it.
Yeah, you gotta put something out.
Yeah, you gotta get it done. And from there I did my first mixtape, and because of the stuff we were doing with Berg and the mixtape different series he had, there was a internet DJ Ill Will. He, you know what I'm saying, helped host a couple of those different tapes. So when I finished my tape, it was a long shot, but I was just like, yo, because I feel like what had happened at first is he had made a comment on like my page or something before from a song I did with Berg, talking about how like nice he thought it was. That was dope. You're a pretty dope artist. Then when I had my tape done, I sent it to him. And I told him, like, here's that tape, bro, that I probably told you I was gonna have, and here it is. And I remember he was like, all right, where's the cover art? And I was like, oh yeah, I don't know. And I just grabbed my phone and I just like, there was no selfies. I don't even think the camera probably didn't flip, and just like taking pictures, right? And I don't have no jewelry. I went and found some glasses from somewhere. You know, I think I had a quick silver hat on. Like,
wow.
I ain't have a white tee, a Quicksilver hat. Because like I said too, we were skating at the time, so I was wearing Quicksilver, Billabong, and like just whatever was available at the time.
Yeah.
So then, you know what I'm saying, I sent him this terrible photo. He I remember he told me how bad it was.
He told you it was garbage.
Terrible. But he had this other artist like figure it out, and like once I gave him the name of it, and I was like, I'm gonna name it World Tour, and they put me in space and like made it look as decent as they were gonna make it look, but it was terrible. And then from there, you know, that's kind of where everything started. He did that for me as a favor. Then the second time I came back around with my second tape, or when I presented it like, yo, I want to do another tape, you think you'll host? And he was kind of like, that first one was a favor. So if you want me to get the second one, I'm gonna need some bread. And I was like, I ain't got no bread for that. Like, so then now I'm just trying to put together the bread, and I'm back over, you know what I'm saying, still situation with at Berg's house, and DJ Ill Will pops up for this video. So now we get to meet each other face to face, and I think that was it. Like that kind of sold him, you know, seeing me at the video, seeing the dynamic, the performance, just, you know, how chill I was at the time. It interested him, and I think it was about 2 weeks went by of us talking, probably linking up once or twice at different like events and stuff like that, and he wanted to, you know what I'm saying, be a part of the situation and see how far we could take it, and not even really with any goals, just to see what, you know what I'm saying, what we could do without putting any bread up. And we ended up, you know, making some records that kind of made some, you know, cool internet noise at the time, and, you know, gave him more of an idea like, I could really do this. And at the time too, Wiz was just bubbling, like really getting successful at the time, and we kind of had like the same brand to an extent. Smoke weed, tattoos, this and this and that, like, you know, street guys, but not really too street, like still like approachable, fun, like like still having fun with it. And I think, you know, it just, he saw opportunity there and how we could really make it work. And that's kind of like, that was kind of it from there. Kind of just kept progressing and moving, just all based on our just ideas and workload and just putting in the work. And I think after maybe about three mixtapes, we started booking shows. I was going overseas, like, but from the hood to overseas. Like, I was literally going overseas for like $1,500, then going back to, I was living off of Adams at the time, which is like a blood neighborhood. I was going right back to the hood, like terrible studio apartment, fucking disgusting. Like,
but still traveling.
Rats and roaches, bro. Like, but still going, most popping mixtapes. Living in dirt, like traveling the world, going to Canada, going to fucking Paris, doing all this. I got a passport, but when I came home, I was just chilling, like, and living a regular life. So from there, you know, we ended up eventually getting some label offers, and then pushing them to the side, seeing, you know what I'm saying, how much further we could take it dolo, and if we can make it any bigger, drop the independent. Got kind of like an insight, like what you guys should do is drop an independent album first, and have that show and prove, show that you could really show you could really make some sales, make some relationships with some radio, you know what I'm saying, artists, and we ended up, radio DJs, and once we ended up making those relationships, and I got my first song on the radio independently, and dropped my first independent album, and sold, you know, 20,000, then it was real. Then the labels looked at it like, oh, this is real. And then I ended up going on my first European tour. Like, that was like $1 million tour before I even signed a deal.
Oh, that's crazy.
So like, when I went to the label, I was like, you guys at least got to give me $1 million. I already got $1 million myself.
Wow.
Like, I'm about to make $1 million in these next couple months. So what you got? So then they had to kind of
Who was coaching you through the contracts and like through like the business side of it?
Really, DJ Ill Will. It wasn't even really coaching. It was like we were just learning. We were learning. Shout out to bro Lee, who at Foundation, who helped us put out the first independent project. He definitely gave a lot of insight and just kind of knew, you know what I'm saying, the ropes of different things like that. Obviously, him and Will, you know, he kind of, you know, just taught Will just different stuff. And but it was kind of one of those things where we didn't know what was gonna really happen. When we went to the labels, they were asking us questions about how we did things, and I'm like, hey, we just working.
Yeah.
They're like, how'd you book this? We can't even book our own artist in European tour. And I'm like, I just put out videos on YouTube. Just stay consistent and this and that. And they see them on YouTube and they reach out to me and this and that. So that's kind of really, long story short, how everything started.
When did you feel like, oh shit, I'm a fucking rapper?
Like double XL freshman cover. That was when it was like, that was really big at the time. And everyone that I saw before me, you know what I'm saying, that hit those covers ended up being, you know what I'm saying.
Did you have bread at that time?
Nah, I still had fake chains.
Shit.
I had fake chains. They were custom chains, but like I was still fake it till you make it. I was still wearing free Young and Reckless clothes. Like I made relationships to get free clothes and boxes from people.
Wow.
And you know, it was still one of those things where it was a hustle.
Did you ever feel like, damn, someone might find out these are fake?
Yeah. My jeweler though made sure they still felt heavy.
Yeah,
I still got the same jeweler. Everything.
Like, yo,
we laugh about it still. Like, remember those fake chains I used to have?
Yeah, because sometimes I see people and I'm like, I don't want to say like, yo, are your chains real or whatever, but like sometimes I'll like touch them.
Nah, what I did too is the reason I was able to push that narrative too is I didn't get diamonds. Gotcha. I made sure I didn't get fake diamonds.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna do fake diamonds. Like I'll get some like
gold chains.
Yeah, we'll get some like gold silver mix type vibes going on and stuff I used to get when I was a kid downtown.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So like the chain was real. Yeah. But like the charm was like mixture
of course
different shit.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Putting it together.
Getting
it dipped every couple months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's so funny.
I wish I still had that chain too. I had it for a minute. I don't know where it is now. Probably in storage somewhere. But
yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. When did the money come?
Well, like I said, so that European tour was right around the same time when the double XL stuff was happening. So like I did that freshman tour with them for free, pretty much just for the exposure, and then like flew out to New York, did that, and then I kind of went on the road right after that. And when I went on the road is when I kind of started seeing the real money on the road, and then I just kind of stayed.
Like show money.
Yeah, the show money started coming in. And the show money was.
Show money came in before the album money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way before the album money. There was no album money.
Yeah.
Like the label initial, the advance came, like, you know what I'm saying, from that deal, but I had already probably been on the road for like.
Was like when you first started getting the show money, like what was that feeling like? Like what did you go do? What was your mindset?
I mean,
was it like on some ignorant shit, or was it
a
like
little bit? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I definitely went and bought real chains.
Okay.
I definitely went and bought real chains. I remember like everything that I wanted when I was a kid, Jordans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just different stuff like that. I started buying. At the time, we still
because I always tell people it's like when people like when I buy shit, it's really shit I would just want it in like in 8th grade.
That's it. I just literally bought everything I wanted as a kid. I didn't even care about nothing else. I didn't even care about a car at the time like that because I was on the road. So it was just like I just started buying just little trinkets and shoes and just different stuff. More tattoos, more weed. You know, just a lot of that and just having fun with it. And of course, still putting stuff back into the show. You know, tour buses, production, like still making sure everything was big. And then I wish I would have put more back of it into the music at the time. Yeah. But I was a lot more self-sufficient and had like, you know, I wasn't really focused on features or
well, you probably like was doing music with no budget for so long.
Yeah, it was just like we still independently doing this work. You know what I'm saying? I don't need new other beats. I don't need nothing. We just gonna keep doing this the same way we doing it. But I think, you know, I definitely didn't blow it all, and then you find out about taxes, and then you got to start making adjustments. Yeah. So when it was really like when I first started really noticing I was making money is when I first got hit with a tax. With
the IRS. Yeah, they be like, "Yo, you
owe us $500,000." I do.
By when?
Means I got to get back on the road. Yeah. So it was one of those things where you know you got to get back on the road and figure it out. But then, you know, even when I signed with the label, it wasn't immediate success. We dropped the first single with Meek and Wale I don't even think it went gold. I don't even know if it's gold now. I don't have a plaque for it.
Yeah.
It might be. It didn't do as much as because at the same time too, before I got signed to RCA, I had Rick Ross asking me, you know what I'm saying? So they wanted me to sign the Maybach. They wanted me to sign the Bad Boy. They wanted me to sign to all these different labels. And then I ended up taking the route over RCA just because it was more of a open space because they didn't have a lot of hip hop artists. And I saw the opportunity of being like one of their first hip hop artists who could expand hip hop, if that makes sense. Like take it to the radio, work with your pop artists, you know what I'm saying, blend and like help with the growth of hip hop. And not really just go straight to Def Jam and just do it the route, like the same original, you know what I'm saying, what I knew was kind of safe and was gonna work. I kind of tried to take the more unsafe route to just.
I mean, that's what Jordan did. I mean, at the time, Nike was, you know, on the bottom of Adidas and all that stuff. And he knew that, like, if he went to Nike, he'd be the superstar there.
Exactly. So, like, when I went to RCA, they didn't have
a rap superstar.
I couldn't even tell you, like, because I know they had, like, Usher and Miguel. And I think Tinashe had just got a deal at the time. And Chris Brown and like they had all just these R&B acts and pop acts and Miley Cyrus and like, you know, just all these different acts that were so far not disconnected, but just they weren't hip hop like the other labels were, like, because like I'm saying, like it was Def Jam and Maybach and Jeezy's tried to sign me over there, CTE and like it was all those other things were a little bit more street oriented labels. RCA wasn't street orientated at all, and I felt like, you know, I was helping bring just that brand over there, which I felt like it definitely, you know what I'm saying, opened up, and they have a whole different wave of just artists and people inside the office who are just moving a little differently probably than they were before. So,
how did you handle fame? Like, what was like your first introduction to like, oh shit, being famous might not be that cool, or like maybe like there's a downside to this?
Because, you know, I think I always went into it knowing that it wasn't going to be all peachy. Like, and I think that's just because I had the privilege of being the producer in the room and watching so many artists go through so many different things and watching the ups and downs and learning from the situations and knowing that this is how it goes. This is what could happen. This is what the fans are like. This is just, you know, the woes of it all. You know, watching Youngberg go through what he went through as an artist, like those different things helped me out in just making certain decisions and, you know, being humbled in a sense of knowing like this is what you got to do, this is what you're gonna go through, and you can't complain. Or because you could be here in the hood still doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? And two, still just having a bunch of friends and people around that were still doing that or still, you know what I'm saying, stuck. It was humbling to know like you're in a good space. Like don't complain about nothing. So I never really complained
about like, the fame or anything.
Nah, I just kind of took it for what it was, even with just like, you got to take pictures. You got to do that. You got to sign this. You got to people going to pull you. People going to say things to you crazy. You gotta, the comments you see on the internet, you just gotta, it is what it is. I never let those type of things get to me. Not saying they wouldn't have, but I like I said,
you knew it was a part of it.
I knew it was a part of it. If I didn't have that probably exposure, I probably would have felt a little bit more sensitive. You can't jump in the water
and complain about getting wet. So
like exactly.
Every famous person deals with that. That's cool.
So I kind of like, I try to also let other people know that, man, you gotta just, that's a part of the narrative. So, you know, we gotta kind of figure that out and figure out if that's really what you want. Because I know people that want the success, but they don't want what comes with it at all. Like, they're not ready for that.
What do you think were like some challenges you had, like with partying or like just like not being focused, like ups and downs you've had like on tour?
Ups and downs on tour. I mean, figuring out how to perform. Performing isn't like,
because it's so introvert, so it's kind of like it's like
I had to jump out there and just go. Like,
was it like
training
weird or anything, like to like turn that on like on stage?
I found out that I could. I didn't know. Even a lot of people around me didn't know. they were like, yo, never seen you that excited, or that energy that just like, whoa, or the dance move you did, like, would have never expected that.
Do you dance?
Yeah, yeah, I'm a dancer. But like my brother was a super dancer. It's like dancing, it's natural. We got rhythm. I'm not like crazy, but you know, I get my little moves in, pop lock in there. You know what I'm saying? Move around, have some fun with it. But I think, you know, just going out there and looking at all these people and figuring out how to perform in front of them, because even when I was coming up, even in voice class when I was younger, I used to hide my face when I was singing in front of people. Like, I didn't really like to be put on the spot. Like, yo, he could sing something. I used to be like,
oh, no.
Nah, I'm cool. Dance, do this. I'd be like, nah. But when you get on stage, it's kind of like, I was nervous. I still get nervous until you hit stage. And then once you hit stage, it's just you there. And you got to just go and have fun with it and just kind of feed. And I do a lot of just feeding off the energy. Like, the crowd, like, you know, they get so hyped. You're just like, okay, we doing this. Like, we having some fun out here. So I think from there, you know, it just kind of helped me with the stage presence. But I had to fail at that. My first show was terrible.
Really?
Yeah. The first show I did was a club show.
Uh-huh.
It was awful. It was so bad. Yeah.
Did people like boo or something? It was like that bad?
They didn't boo necessarily, but like I didn't remember my lyrics.
Oh, wow.
I didn't really have like stage presence, know where to be.
Gotcha.
Where to stand, like which parts to get hype on, which like breath control, like just all of that stuff was a learning experience. So I think, you know, the first show turned out bad from what it was, and then from there though it just started. You know, I think after the first show I just turned it on. I was like, yeah, nah. We got to do way better than this. We got to just go crazy when you go out there. Just don't even think about nothing. Just go crazy.
So over the years, like, what do you think was like your highest moment of like success? Like where were you? Like what's like a moment in your career where you were like, damn, like I've like made it?
I always tell people it's hard for me to say because I never gave myself a chance to sit down and really accept or dwell. I think once I got moving, the first 4 years, I didn't stop moving. I just kept going. I didn't appreciate where I was at. I didn't stop and really like look at it, take it all in. I kind of just kept moving and moving and moving until I burnt myself out. And it was like it was definitely probably around like the third year. Maybe like the second year after being with the label, doing 3 tours a year, like 260 shows a year.
Wow.
Only
260 shows a year?
Yeah, I used to only have like 100 days less.
Wow.
Sometimes I had, it was one year I had probably like 75 days to myself.
Wow.
The rest of it was a show.
That's crazy.
Every time, sometimes 2 shows a night, 3 shows a night, like, or 2 shows in a club, like stuff like that. And I was just moving. I was just getting a check, moving, going to the studio, going back on the road, going to the studio, going back on the road. When I was on the road, I missed the studio. When I got to the studio, I missed the road. And that's all that I did for like the first 2-3 years. And then I got burnt out one day, and I just like, I just needed to chill. I couldn't think about what to do next. I could feel the fatigue in my body. Like I just started just like going down, and I just had to like really sit, focus, you know what I'm saying? Not really rebrand, but just like pay attention to it all, accept it, have some fun. Like I wasn't having any fun.
Gotcha.
I wasn't hanging out with people. I wasn't seeing my friends. Like my friends that I grew up with, I wasn't seeing nobody. Like luckily I was able to, you know what I'm saying, employ some of my friends and help them out, bring them on the road, you know what I'm saying, things like that. But like there was still groups of people who I just was disconnected from because I was just so focused in like on just doing this every single day, and I can't turn back. I can't fail. I can't be one of those guys. Like I can't lose. No one hit wonder, this and that. So it was just always going through my head of just trying to succeed every day and do something.
Yeah, and it's like every time you put out another project, there's always like that, you know, pressure of like, well, is this going to be the one that like doesn't do well?
Facts. And you're sitting waiting, and then you're just like, I always put that pressure on myself probably a little bit too much. So it was hard for me to really find a place where it was an up, because it was never enough. Like it would be a moment where other people would be really excited and I'd be like, that's cool.
You're just never satisfied.
But I gotta go, I need this, or I need that, or I need this. Or
Were you
we don't have no
close?
awards, or we don't have this. So
Were you close with Nipsey this whole time?
yeah, I think I was, but like I said again, I was disconnected from a lot of those people. So we were still close on passing.
Yeah.
I would see him.
We weren't spending a lot of time together.
I would see him on passing. We probably should have been involved in the studio probably more, or just around more. But we still had a lot of the same circle of friends. So I would still just see him in passing a lot, catch him in the airport, catch him in different shows, you know what I'm saying? But it was always the same energy and love.
How would you describe him to people?
Nip was just cool, man. Like, I mean, he was always just an inspiration. Like everything that, like, cause he always moved the way Nipsey moved, and like independently, and you know what I'm saying, self-sufficient, and you know, you always wanted, like from the outside looking in, I would be like, yo, I want him to be in this place, or I want him to do this, or I want him to do more. And in his mind, he had a whole
Like his
blueprint
own route,
plan,
and he was sticking to it.
Yeah, that was confusing to me at the time, where I'm like, well, how come you not, you got this, or like people were like, do this and this and that, and he, you know what I'm saying, had his own route, and then you see how that worked out in the long run, and you're like, okay, I get it. Like, I didn't always get it, and then I got it at one point, and I was like, oh, I understand. Like,
it's crazy, because like right before like the height of his career, it was like it all kind of fell into place.
Yeah, because at first, you know, I used to look at it and be like, man, why are you selling yourself short? Like, you're nice. Like, you're really good. Like, you got an image. Like, you could really do this and that. Like, go sign with somewhere. Go do this and that, or just do, like, you know what I'm saying? But I think that he knew, you know what I'm saying, shit we didn't know. And, like, you obviously see that in the forefront now. He's, you know what I'm saying, a legend forever. So.
Yeah. What was it like when like you found out his past? Like, how have you dealt with that?
You said his passing?
Yeah.
It was hard for me because, so it happened the day before my birthday. So that was kind of like one of the shittiest birthdays that I ever had. And
Your
then,
April 1st birthday?
Yeah.
Did my research.
So, you know, it wasn't the best news to get, you know what I'm saying, at that time, because, you know, obviously, you know, we still out trying to do this, like, oh, your birthday's tomorrow, what we doing tonight? Like, we still gonna have some fun tonight, we getting drunk, and like in that process of like having this house party, people coming over, I get the calls, and I don't believe it, and then I start making my calls, and then when I get like the confirmations of what happened, it was like, that's crazy. And then I didn't really have too much time to process it, because I had to go on the road. I had a European tour set up like that next week, so I ended up going on the road. Like, I had to watch his funeral when I was in Amsterdam.
Wow.
In the smoke shop. Like we knew the day was happening. Luckily, I had got to Amsterdam. I was like, yo, packs on packs. We going to the smoke shop, and we gonna stay there this whole time. And that's just, we're gonna just roll one up for my guy all day and just pull up and just cry it out, man. And like, you know what I'm saying? So it was tough. Not only just for me, for a lot of people around me, because, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't just close to me. I had a lot of just friends and people that were still, you know, had their own relationships with him and everything like that, because we just all from the same neighborhood. So it was, you know, one of those things that is still tough, you know, to just think about. Or, like, every once in a while, I'm just like, man, can't believe that really like happened. Especially for the whole city, because nobody, you know, just never crossed nobody's mind. Like, wasn't really like, because there's certain people in the city or that are in gangs, you know, you're expecting. You'd be like,
they're wilding.
Yeah, you're like, one of these days, bro,
it's
not going to go good for you. Somebody's going to catch up to you. That wasn't really one of those situations. So it definitely hit a little bit different than, because, like, again, like, I got friends that have died. I've had friends pass every year, and since high school, since junior high. Like, it was one of those things where when you come back from summer or from Halloween or from like it was always gonna be one or two that, you know what I'm saying, had a situation, and this one just hit differently for the whole city. Like, it wasn't the first time anybody had a friend pass, but it was the first time it felt like that, you know?
Yeah, it was like a different type of love for him because it's different because like a lot of people are like, oh, I love this person because like his music, but like a lot of people loved him for like so many different things.
Yeah.
You know?
Nah, it definitely, but at the same time too, it was a big like motivation of seeing that love and respect and me asking myself like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what's gonna happen when you leave? Like, what is your narrative gonna be? Or, you know what I'm saying? How are you motivating anybody right now? What's the, you know,
What's your legacy gonna be?
Yeah, putting that pressure on myself. So I think, you know, it was definitely a tough year, just not only dealing with his passing, but now going through a life crisis of like, so what's next, bro? Like, are you just gonna just keep running this like this? Are you gonna do something bigger? Like, what's the next wave gonna be to where you're really making your stamp, you know what I'm saying, on the game and on, you know, the world. So it definitely helped me grow as a person, you know.
So to kind of switch up the vibe, like what's next for you now?
Next now, musically, I'm back into production, having fun, just, you know what I'm saying, making more of my own just music and beats, you know what I'm saying, firsthand, playing instruments, like getting back on the road since, you know, consistently since all the pandemic stuff, and getting back overseas and shooting more music videos and just really getting back to just the grind of it all, and like not just shooting music videos for the singles, like shoot music videos for everything, like because at that, you know, before we used to shoot anything, it didn't matter where it was, not putting so much pressure on myself to making sure everything is a full-on production, like just really having fun, shooting tour bus videos, shooting this and that, getting, you know, back on, you know, social media crazy, just when it all makes sense. Because I definitely took even my step back on just letting social media mess my brain up. Watching other people do things, watching other people have certain stuff go on for them, and you start looking back at yourself like, what I got going on, this and that, or I got to do this, or this and that, or I got to get to this sound, or I got to, you know, I stopped listening to just rap, you know, because there was definitely a point too where I was like, I got to get back to studying hip hop, and then you start just losing like your just passion for it all. So I think I just got back into just appreciating and loving just art in general, whether it be music, film, TV, you know, just creating in general. I just merch, clothing, like I'm just back in a space of creating. More so behind the scenes and letting everything just be organic in itself.
Let's see
got
what
this
you got
going on too.
So this is your champagne company?
This is the champagne. Before we get back into the music,
Yeah.
This is definitely the other
So can see.
the other endeavor that I have here going on. Belarus champagne. I ended up taking, because it's not really easy to get into the champagne game.
No, of course.
It's a lot of relationships. It's not just like making a cognac. You gotta, you know, this is coming from Champagne, France. This isn't like some Prosecco. So, you know what I'm saying? This is, and I ended up having to take a brand and recreate it. I ended up making a new name. I made a new logo from scratch. I did all this myself on Photoshop. And, you know what I'm saying, came up with everything. But when you I came up with a lot of different names, but you got to get the names approved by the French situation over there, whatever's going on, like the embassy, whoever the Champagne embassy. But
and when did you start this?
We started this idea maybe about 2 years ago.
Okay.
But, you know, through the process, well, we started the idea kind of right 2020 when it hit, and there was a lot of struggles because of shipping.
Yeah, of course.
Getting the labels. Like I had to test these labels, and they send you a book of all these different labels, and you know, getting them shipped from China or wherever they were doing, or from France, and then getting the samples and getting the bottles and then designing it.
Now, are these supposed to be like, what's the brand on this? Is it like club pop and champagne, or is it more like upscale, like out to dinner champagne?
I tried to do more of the upscale, but still something you would want to hold in the club. I was inspired by I was driving through Beverly Hills, and I was inspired by the old school Beverly Hills street sign.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So this crest in the middle here, it inspired me. I saw it and I was like, yeah, I really like that black and gold and just that crest situation. So I went and just, you know what I'm saying, went through a bunch of different crests and created just this situation here. And then I had to come up with the name, and the name means a beautiful road. So pretty much like a beautiful road traveled. And you know, it all just started just coming together organically, and you know, just felt good. But I wanted it to feel like you're saying, upscale to a place where like I already knew the dudes in the club were gonna love this, but I wanted the females to love it too. So I wanted a female to.
Yeah, because a lot of like the champagne people pop is like real masculine.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't going for full masculine. I wanted it still to feel like, you know, and that's why we also went with rosé first. Yeah. So like I did these later. And we went rosé first just so I could grab the attention, you know what I'm saying, and have the females looking at it like, okay, because I know females always go for the rosé first too. And they don't really like that brut champagne like that. So we went first with the rosé, and it has still more of a nectar feel to it. It's not too bubbly, and you know, the taste wins for me. It was the taste of it won for me, and it's low key a little stronger than most champagnes too. Because I notice I always get, every time people I get a bottle, they're like, yo, I'm drunk, bro. Like, how did you get me so drunk off one bottle of champagne? Because I used to be able to go through 3 bottles of champagne Dolo and still be moving around regular. These, my own champagne, I can get through 1 and I'm done. Like, I'll be like, yo, if I get 2 of these, I'm lit for the rest of the night. So that's definitely the you know what I'm saying,
your next endeavor that you're.
Yeah, this is definitely what I'm excited about the most of getting into. It's just not I'm not gonna say it's the easiest thing to accomplish. You know, getting licenses to sell in every state. You know, it's a lot of footwork you got to do. You know, showing up to liquor stores. It's the distro part of it wasn't really. That's really where more of the struggle was. So like, but we finally got the Cali distro, and that was the most important. Everything else kind of trickles down.
Are you trying to pull up like liquor stores and do like?
Yeah, I've been doing some liquor store in signings. You gotta, you know what I'm saying, travel around different cities, go in a liquor store, you know, pour up, get drunk with everybody, sign a bunch of stuff, take pictures and stuff. So I've done a couple of those. Again, too, it was hard to do all that stuff during the pandemic time. Of course, So it was like, I tried as much as I could. I didn't get to really obviously throw like the parties and the different things, but I've, you know, been picking up, getting sponsorships, doing sponsorships for other people's parties and different things like that. So we've been learning the game and definitely moving in a good route. And I think it's gonna be exciting over the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah, bro. Well, yo, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast, bro. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thanks
for having
me.
Conversation. I feel like I got like your whole life story now.
Yeah, we kind of dove in there. I just had a therapy session.
Fire. Yeah, bro, for sure. I appreciate you. We can come back next time. We'll go a little deeper.
Oh, yeah. That's what's up, man. Hell yeah. No, I have fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And these 2 are yours. I left these.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
There you go.
I don't drink, but I will give these to someone who does.
Right now. What it is, too, I wanted to make, because I also made the bottles because I just want them to look nice.
Yeah, so like people who don't drink, classy. They like them.
Office. Like my lawyer has his in his office, and it just like it looks nice.
They look high end.
I would see the bottles in.
They don't look like club bottles. You know what I mean? They kind of look like high end bottles.
And I was inspired by it. Really, I wanted to make a bottle that looked good. Just sitting in your house.
It looked like a gift you give someone, right?
Yeah. You see, my gifting box was crazy.
There you go.
Not gonna lie, I made a really crazy gifting box.
That's fire.
So we went through it.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
Respect, bro. Thank you.
This show is not affiliated with any specific 12-step program. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please find a 12-step meeting. If you're struggling with addiction, depression, anxiety, or your mental health, please call 833-999-1877 to speak to a specialist. Again, the number you can call for help is 833-999-1877 to speak to a specialist.